Cobra Kai Season 1 kicks off in the most awesome way with a flashback to the original Karate Kid movie, where we see Daniel LaRusso perform his legendary crane kick on his enemy, Johnny Lawrence. And then the flashback turns into reality as we see how Johnny is now living his life. And it is fair to say that the former Cobra Kai member is somewhat down and out, however he is willing to turn all that around. Through various circumstances, he ends up meeting back up with his old enemy, Daniel LaRusso. And for all intents and purposes, the war between the two is back on. Johnny slowly begins to reignite Cobra Kai with his star pupil Miguel, while in the meantime, Johnny's real-life son, Robbie, finds himself getting into trouble. However, Robbie is able to turn it around when he finds himself getting a job working for LaRusso Motors, and then one night sees Daniel practicing karate at his home and asks for a few pointers. Hell, he even ends up teaching Robbie how to trim a bonsai tree. And during all this time, the Cobra Kai dojo has been growing in membership also, with Johnny recruiting several members who want to learn the Cobra Kai way. We see the introduction of Johnny's somewhat unorthodox training methods come into play here in Season 1, accompanied by classic 80s rock tunes, of course. Some awesome homages played here to the original Karate Kid movie, with various flashback scenes throughout the season, and we also see the return of Daniel's mother also. That's right, all the original actors here, no replacements in Cobra Kai. As Johnny's son Robbie and Daniel continue training and working together, Johnny, who has a strained relationship with his son, really wants to get things back on track with him. But things go all pear-shaped when Johnny discovers Robbie at Daniel's house one night, and needless to say, he is not too happy about this, saying that his son and Daniel LaRusso has somewhat formed a bond. And all this leads up to the final episode of the season, which is titled Mercy, where you have the All Valley Karate Championship taking place. In the final match of the night, we had Johnny Lawrence's student, Miguel, taking on Daniel LaRusso's student, Johnny's son, Robbie. And on this night, it was Miguel and Cobra Kai who came out on top. But it wasn't over there, as we ended on the cliffhanger of the return of John Kreese, setting things up for an awesome Season 2. Welcome to the review, guys. We're going to be looking at Season 2 of Cobra Kai here. It's a real kick-ass season with a ton of action going down. We had several new characters being introduced for Season 2. Surprising moments, drama, we had it all. So how I'm going to do this is go through episode by episode, looking at what went down, and without further ado, let's get this thing underway. So, Season 2, Episode 1 is titled Mercy 2, and it starts off right where the final scene from Season 1, Episode 10 left off, where we see the epic return of John Kreese. Standing in the shadows, Kreese says, "The real story has only just begun." Then Johnny replies, "I thought you were dead," to which Kreese responds, "You ain't the only one, kid." Then the two square off with one another in the Cobra Kai dojo, with Kreese eventually getting the final blow in on Johnny. Johnny, of course, is angry with Kreese from what happened at the end of Karate Kid Part 1, where Kreese smashed his trophy and embarrassed him. We have some flashbacks from Karate Kid Part 2 with Mr. Miyagi, when Daniel was telling his student Robbie about the rules of karate, and how the first rule is karate is for defense only, and the second rule of Miyagi-Do karate is first learn rule number 1. So the use of flashbacks from the Karate Kid movies that they did in the first season are continued here and are done to great effect. Johnny meets up with his son Robbie in an apartment store and tries talking with him. However, it doesn't end up going too well, with Robbie walking away, so that relationship still remains fractured. And at the end of the show, we have Kreese and Johnny Lawrence back in the Cobra Kai dojo with Kreese saying his goodbyes, but before he leaves, he hands Johnny the trophy he won for second place back from the first Karate Kid movie, except Kreese has had the trophy repaired, with Kreese saying, "It may say second place, but in my opinion, you were always the better fighter." Kreese walks away, but then Johnny calls him back, and that's how the first episode ends. So a good continuation there from what happened at the end of the first season. So Season 2, Episode 2 is titled Back in Black, and in the opening scene we have Johnny's car getting totally pimped out. He gets a new black and yellow paint job, and we get AC/DC's Back in Black song playing too. So it's a cool start there, and the new car look is impressive, I gotta say. After back-chatting Johnny at a Cobra Kai training session, the students are given some unorthodox training methods instilled in them. More specifically, Johnny makes his students get inside a concrete mixing truck with wet cement inside and makes them try to turn the barrel of the truck. It's hardcore. The students don't want to do it, but John Kreese speaks up here and starts serving it to the kids and gets them to do it. The turmoil in Robbie's home life continues when he is left home alone and he loses the power to his apartment. The anger he feels toward the situation starts to boil over at training until Sam, Daniel's new student, also his daughter, reveals to her dad Daniel that Robbie is really struggling at home. So this ends up with Daniel going over to Robbie's apartment and inviting him to stay at the LaRussos. And at the end of the episode, we get a standoff between Kreese, Johnny, and Daniel LaRusso, with Kreese throwing in the line, "Well, what do you know? The gang's all back together. Well, almost all of us. My condolences," referring to Mr. Miyagi here. Then Daniel responds, "You're lucky he's not here." There is some great tension in this scene and a great way to end the episode. There's actually a really funny start to this episode where Johnny Lawrence is trying to figure out how to work a computer and connect to the internet. It's done really well with the continuation of Johnny slowly getting used to technology. So in this episode, Daniel pulls out all the stops in an effort to recruit new students to Miyagi-Do. He sets up a public show to showcase Miyagi-Do, and just when he's about to do the chopping through the blocks of ice trick, which we know from Karate Kid Part 2, Johnny Lawrence and the Cobra Kai crash in, totally overtaking the show with a huge showcase of their own. The music's pumping, the fists are flying, and Johnny shows up Daniel by breaking not ice, but a set of flaming concrete blocks. So here we get the introduction of a brand new character who will be a prominent cast member in Season 2, and that's Tori. She's a bit of a badass, and she spars off with Miguel in the Cobra Kai dojo and more than holds her own, actually winning the duel by, in the end, taking Miguel down to the mat. There's also a really cool part here where Daniel is at a beach resort with Sam and Robbie and is trying another way to promote Miyagi-Do when Robbie runs into some old friends who try to beat him up. But then it's Daniel LaRusso to the rescue as he takes everyone down, saving Robbie in a cool fight scene here. Real old school. There are some personal moments here with John Kreese and Johnny Lawrence as Johnny finds out that everything that Kreese has been telling him about his past isn't exactly true. And we see another student, Dimitri, join Miyagi-Do after he was punched in the nose by Kreese after getting on his wrong side in the Cobra Kai dojo. So I mentioned Dimitri at the end of episode 4. Well, he's really more of a brains type guy and struggles more with the physical side of karate. In this episode, we have Daniel trying to teach Dimitri using the old paint my fence and sand my floor routine, and while painting his fence, Dimitri comes up with the line, "Couldn't I at least use a roller?" Some funny stuff here. We see relationships develop here between Miguel and new student Tori. We see Robbie and Sam getting a bit closer here, and the same can be said for Johnny and Miguel's mother, Carmen, too. But while Johnny's away, Sensei Kreese comes across a very angry Cobra Kai student, Hawk, who has just been embarrassed in a fight against Miyagi-Do students, and Kreese informs him that the fight is only over when you say it is, which prompts Hawk and other Cobra Kai students to destroy the Miyagi-Do dojo. Both Robbie and Daniel arrive to find the dojo totally trashed, and worse than that, Mr. Miyagi's Medal of Honor he earned in the war has been stolen. This is a very emotional moment here, and tensions boil over when Daniel then goes to the Cobra Kai dojo to face off with Johnny Lawrence. Johnny actually doesn't know nothing about what happened, but that doesn't matter to Daniel, as he lashes out at Johnny saying, "A sensei mentors, a sensei elevates, he doesn't teach destruction and disrespect." The tension between Daniel and Johnny here is at an absolute boiling point, with fists about to fly when Johnny remembers something McGill's mother had told him earlier in this episode about being the bigger man. So Johnny backs off here, but it is one hell of an end to episode number 5. So in Season 2, Episode 6, Take a Right, we have Johnny's old Cobra Kai friends from the original Karate Kid movie make an appearance for the first time, except it's not exactly a great reunion as Johnny finds out that Tommy is sick with cancer, and he actually passes away at the end of this episode. But not before the old gang gets back together for one last road trip to relive the glory days. Also in this episode, we have the Miyagi-Do members rebuilding their dojo after what happened in episode number 5. And you get some funny moments here and some real moments of team building as new members from Cobra Kai actually come over and join Miyagi-Do. And with Daniel's class size increasing, he teaches the students a lesson in overcoming their grudges. And while Johnny is away with his friends, Sensei Kreese puts Johnny's teachings to the side and starts enforcing his own rules of discipline onto the Cobra Kai students. So at the start of this episode, we have Daniel arriving at his dojo only to be greeted by John Kreese. Kreese tries to intimidate Daniel here, talking about the former Cobra Kai students that have defected to Miyagi-Do, and says, "War never ends. Peace is just the lull between battles." We see Daniel LaRusso giving some new training methods a shot with his students, such as training in intense heat and the freezing cold. And we see Dimitri finally get the hang of the physical side of karate when he makes some steps forward with his defensive moves. Robbie and Sam really start heating up their relationship, but on the other side we see Daniel and his wife Amanda's relationship hitting a few bumps. Sensei Lawrence is not happy with Sensei Kreese bringing in his old school harsh teachings, and by the end of the episode he tells Kreese, "We're done. I don't ever want to see you in this dojo again." So now we go into episode 8 with the old school song from Karate Kid Part 2 being the title of this episode, The Glory of Love. We have Daniel's mother returning here, Mrs. LaRusso, played by Randy Heller, who is now of course grandmother to Daniel's 2 children. And again, it's a testament to the series how they have brought back all the original characters from the Karate Kid movies. That is one of the things that is so great about this series. There's a cool part in here when McGill's mother Carmen starts dating this new guy, and Johnny, who has the hots for her, is not pleased of course. But one night while he's out at a bar trying a new dating app, he sees this guy who's dating Carmen chatting up other women. So he takes him down Cobra Kai style out back in an alley, telling him to never go near her again. Real badass. Also we have Daniel, who's been occupied with the students, really trying to make amends with his wife Amanda. And there's also a pretty big confrontation at an 80s dance between McGill, Robbie, Samantha, and Tori, where Sam and Tori start to get physical. And by the end of this episode, we finally see Johnny and McGill's mother Carmen coming together, which has been hinted at for some time. So the main focus for this episode is on a party that is being held with members from both dojos attending. Things definitely get heated here between opposing members as we have Sam and Tori competing in a drinking game against each other, and we see Dimitri embarrass his old friend Hawk in front of everybody. Hawk takes all he can, then goes for Dimitri, but then the cops show up and everyone has to scatter. Earlier that night at the party, there has been an interesting development also where McGill and a very drunk Sam share a kiss, but not without McGill's new girlfriend Tori seeing it all go down. Also in this episode, we see quite an interesting moment where by chance Daniel and his wife bump into Johnny and Carmen at a restaurant and have to sit next to one another for the entire evening. But the funny part is Johnny and Daniel actually find themselves getting along here for most of the night, for like the first time ever, so that's quite interesting to see. So on to the final episode of Series 2, and it's not just called No Mercy for nothing, but we'll get to that in just a minute. This episode starts off with Daniel and Amanda trying to find Sam as she has not come home from the party from the night before. And where has Sam gone? Well, Robbie took her to his dad's place as he didn't want Mr. LaRusso to see her in the state she was in. However, when Daniel arrives at Johnny's apartment and finds Sam there hungover, he hits the roof. And this part's actually pretty cool, because for the first time in the Cobra Kai series, we actually see Daniel and Johnny face off, trading a few blows back and forth here. But before it goes too over the top, Sam and Robbie come out and stop the fight. Daniel is furious at Sam and they storm out. But now, on to the main part of episode 10, and that is when the students go back for their first day of school at West Valley High. The tensions between the two dojos have not cooled, and a massive, and I mean massive, fight ensues at the school when Tori calls out Sam over the loudspeaker for kissing McGill at the party. And the two girls go at it hammer and tongs. It's all on here, no holding back, and this incites everyone else to start fighting, and before you know it, there is absolute chaos. But then we come to the end of this fight, and this part got me. It surprised me, I'll be honest. We have Robbie and McGill squaring off on an upper level up the stairs. Both guys are fighting for Sam. McGill took Robbie down and could have finished him here, but instead he adopted the new lesson taught to him by his sensei, Johnny Lawrence, to actually show mercy. So McGill didn't finish off Robbie when he had him down, and Robbie responded with a huge kick, sending McGill over the edge and down onto the floor below, hitting his back very badly on a staircase, falling a long way down. For a minute there, you thought that McGill was dead. And it's not official yet whether he is or isn't. However, personally, I think that McGill will survive this. He'll be in a cast or something like that for most of Series 3 maybe, but will eventually come out of it and fight again. That's my prediction anyway. But the show really left you on a cliffhanger here, with emotions at this point running all over. Carmen, McGill's mom, told Johnny she never wants to see him again. Daniel and Amanda are concerned for Sam too, as she got badly beaten in her fight with Tori. And after all that, Johnny goes back to his dojo late at night only to find the door open with John Kreese back and teaching his students. It turns out that Kreese has taken over the lease for the building, and the students don't want anything to do with Sensei Lawrence anymore because of what has happened to McGill. And they blame Lawrence for this, for teaching McGill to show mercy. Kreese ends with the lines, "I founded Cobra Kai, it belongs to me, it always has, and it always will." Then Johnny replies, "You want Cobra Kai? It's yours." Johnny leaves with a lot on his mind at this point, of course. He blames himself for what happened to McGill, although it isn't really anyone's fault. But Johnny takes it hard, takes to the bottle again, and right at the end of the show, we get a cool hint at the return of Allie, Johnny's old girlfriend. She has sent him a Facebook friend request, however he never saw it because he threw his phone away in anger. And that's how the season ends, on a real cliffhanger. Now that's some real great writing and storytelling. So we are left wondering what is going to happen to McGill. Will he live or die? What will Johnny do now? Will he start up a new division of Cobra Kai himself, teaching his new ways he has learned? Or could he team with LaRusso at Miyagi-Do as an outside chance? Where is Robbie? No one has seen him since the accident with McGill. Will Johnny eventually see the friend request Allie sent him? A lot of stuff is up in the air, and it really pumps you up for Season 3, which has been confirmed. So I say, bring it on. Cobra Kai Season 3 carries on strong from where Season 2 left off. You got the karate chopping action, the drama, and more familiar faces returning from the past. For example, we get two characters back from the Karate Kid Part 2 movie. Daniel makes the trip back to Okinawa, and he actually makes amends with his old foe from Karate Kid Part 2. But the big question for Series 3 was Miguel ever going to get out of his coma? And with the help of his sensei, Johnny Lawrence, using some unorthodox methods, which actually ended up being quite comical, he did end up helping Miguel get back onto his feet. And another awesome part for Season 3 was we got a huge backstory for John Kreese that we had never gotten before. Really awesome how they can do that in an episodic series like this. And it shows that there really are some reasons as to why he is the way he is, why he's such a hard ass. So that was very revealing and was done very well here. And the big return that everybody was waiting for, Ellie, she came back. She met back up with Johnny. It was very awesome to see her here. There's a scene where they all meet up at the country club all these years later, and it's just a great throwback. Johnny breaks away from Kreese and Cobra Kai and attempts to start up his own dojo, but doesn't really have any funds to get anything decent going, so he ends up joining Daniel LaRusso and they combine. And that all adds up to a massive finale on the final episode of the season where there's this massive throwdown, massive fight. You got this total mass of humanity from all these dojos going at it inside the LaRusso house. Stuff's getting broken everywhere. Everything's getting broken. The whole house is just being totally torn apart. A good follow-up fight, and like the one they had on the final episode of Season 2 in the school. Big, long sequence, ton of action. It's awesome. So guys, if you haven't checked out Season 3, definitely recommend it. Totally awesome. And we look forward to Season 4. And as of the release of this video, it is now 100% official that Terry Silver will be returning for Cobra Kai Season 4. Will be an awesome season, no doubt. Cobra Kai Season 4 kicks off with the amalgamation of the two dojos, Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang, coming together as one. But will it work? With Miyagi-Do focusing more on the defense and Eagle Fang more on the offense, there was bound to be a few hiccups here and there was. But we can't talk about Season 4 without mentioning the reintroduction of Terry Silver. We find Silver living a rather relaxed life. Comfortable and all, and somewhat wealthy, but seems to be missing that certain something in his life. But Sensei John Kreese is there to change all that. After some to and froing and back and forth, Kreese eventually convinces Silver to come and rejoin Cobra Kai. And with Daniel and Johnny not exactly seeing eye to eye on their new amalgamation, it seems that Cobra Kai now has the upper hand. And things got so testy between LaRusso and Lawrence that we even saw them have a one-on-one fight, reliving those days from Karate Kid Part 1. So with it being clear now that the two dojos could not coexist, welcome back, Eagle Fang Karate. We had a new character who got quite a lot of attention on Season 4, and that was Kenny. Kenny gets picked on by Daniel LaRusso's son, Anthony, and his friends, and this is where Kenny realized that he needs to strike back. And he does this by joining Kreese and Silver in Cobra Kai. You have all the humor from the previous seasons with Johnny Lawrence and Eagle Fang trying to teach his students more unconventional methods, like jumping off buildings, for example. But what Season 4 is all built around and focusing towards is the annual All-Valley Karate Tournament, where you have 3 different dojos now going at it: Cobra Kai, Miyagi-Do, and Eagle Fang. The tournament takes place over the final 2 episodes of Season 4, that's Episode 9 and Episode 10, and it is epic. You've got a ton of action and drama, some really awesome slow-motion sequences during the fight scenes. Last year's champion, Miguel, he gets injured and he decides to not continue on. Hawk from Miyagi-Do Karate ends up defeating Robbie, he gets the trophy. But it all came down to the final fight of the night as to which dojo would be victorious overall. And this is where you had Tori squaring off against Sam in an epic battle, but all was not as it seemed. Tori got the win and Cobra Kai won the tournament overall, but it seemed there were some shady circumstances involved when it was revealed that Terry Silver had paid off one of the judges to rule in Cobra Kai's favor. Adding to the end of Season 4, we had some more drama with Miguel just totally packing up and leaving. He went off to find his real dad and to find himself. We had Johnny and his son Robbie somewhat reuniting after a long time of bitterness between the two. And talking about bitterness, we had a massive twist in the story here with Terry Silver turning his back on John Kreese, getting Kreese arrested. You'll have to check out the episode to see the details there. And from the loss of the tournament, it seems that all could be lost for Miyagi-Do Karate. However, re-enter a character from Season 3 of Cobra Kai, and of course all the way back from Karate Kid Part 2, Daniel LaRusso's former enemy, chosen. And it looks like he is back to help out Miyagi-Do Karate with the teachings he has to offer. So everything is set up for an awesome Season 5, and we look forward to that. With Terry Silver putting John Kreese behind bars, Silver has now fully taken over Cobra Kai. And since they lost the tournament, Daniel LaRusso has kept to his word and shut down Miyagi-Do. Miguel has gone to Mexico to find his biological father, and he does so, with some interesting results. John Kreese has found himself in jail, but he is still kicking ass, while at the same time trying to find a way out. Big news for Johnny Lawrence, he has gotten his girlfriend, Miguel's mom, pregnant, and he wants to do things right this time around. There is a World's Karate Championship at stake, which Cobra Kai desperately wants to win. However, LaRusso and Lawrence have now combined their forces, and they will be there to challenge Cobra Kai in Season 6 at that tournament. Mike Barnes from Karate Kid Part 3 is back, and you gotta check out the awesome battles that Daniel LaRusso has with Terry Silver during this season. Awesome stuff.